Hey guys, it is Wednesday evening. We are a little early tonight, about a half hour early. We're gonna just go live because we're gonna take a deep dive into happiness today. You know, so many people's question seems to, if not be absolutely, about happiness, it always leads to that. So I wanted to talk about the different ways that make us so unhappy because as a society, we really are. So we're going to take a deep dive into that today. Wherever you're watching from, just let me know in the comments. If there's anything you want to talk about, drop that in the comments as well as we go along. Okay. So that's pretty much the topic for today. It's happiness, because really without that, you're, you can't have any sort of rewarding existence. You have to grant that to yourself. It's one of those inner jobs that you have to do. So we're going to talk today all about happiness, why we don't have it, how to cultivate it in our lives, and how to start living the lives that we deserve. So we'll get that started right after this. This is the Mind Power Secrets podcast, and I'm your host, Brent Webb. All right, let's just jump right into it today. Happiness, it is so crucial, critical, mission critical in our lives, but no one seems to know how to cultivate it. So I thought today we would talk all about it. Every now and then you probably ask yourself, why am I so unhappy? I know I did, and I spent years just miserable doing the things that I thought, I wanted to do my whole life, and making the money I thought I wanted to make, and performing on stages and doing all of those things. And I was still miserable. And unhappiness comes in all different colors. It's not just, doom and despair. It's all shades of gray. Sometimes I've met people that just lack joy. They just don't have joy in their life, and they just can't create it. But does that mean that the emotional darkness that they find in their life, is that their fault? Is it your fault if that's you? Or are those life circumstances beyond your control? There's depression, there's other psychological illnesses, and those can definitely lead to physical, clinical illnesses, and those should never be minimized. But there are lots of factors that contribute to the way that we feel. So let me ask you this. Why are you unhappy? If you say you are, why? Can you name, is there something that pops out as soon as you hear that question? What pops into your mind when you think of the reason for your unhappiness? Now, there's lots of reasons to be unhappy. Okay. And so what I thought I would do, I want you to tell me if you see yourself in any of these. I have been taking some great notes today, and we're going to delve into lots of different things that we're doing that are making us unhappy. And the great thing is, because it's us doing it to ourselves, we can fix it. Okay. It doesn't take some outside force to come in and save us. We can do it. Okay. So what are some of the reasons that people are unhappy? First, they worry. Think about this. There's a famous quote by Mark Twain. I'm an old man, and I have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. In your mind, we torture ourselves. Worry creates inner turmoil, and some people are doing it all the time. The majority of their day is worry. It creates physical illness. It creates stress. It creates anxiety. It's like a rocking chair that's just rocking back and forth feverishly, right? But it's not going anywhere. Worrying doesn't create action. Worrying doesn't force you into doing something. It freezes you. Right? Think about it in your own life. It freezes you. So you're unable to think clearly. You're unable to make the changes that you need to make sure that the negative outcome doesn't happen. You are completely paralyzed by it. Your energy would be so much better utilized in changing the things that you can control, right? Because all of the things in our lives that we are in control of, that is the way you transform. That is the way you completely change your life. We can let the rest of that crap go. Things from the past that we can't change, that's easy, right? There's nothing we can do about it, but we live there. People go into the past all day long and they convict themselves over and over again for the things that they've done in the past, or they're wronged again over and over by the things people did to them in the past. So you got to preserve that energy. You only have so much of that life force energy each and every day. You got to be careful where you're spending that, right? So the things you can't control, you let go. Remember the old song, "Don't worry, be happy"? Well, here you go. This is where you use that in your life. The lack of worry, I tell you from personal experience, does create happiness. Because when you're not stressed and you're not anxious and you're not completely you're living inside your mind, you're in that cage of your mind and you're free, it's an amazing thing. Okay. So what are other things that make people unhappy? Well, do you hold onto it's just perceived. It's the perceived idea of control. Are you a control freak? I used to be, and some who know me would say that maybe I still have a little of that. But if you see yourself as a control freak, you're already halfway there on getting out of it, because it's the people who don't realize it's them. They don't realize, oh, there's no way that's me. Those are the ones you got to be careful of, right? At times, people seem to believe that they stepped straight out of, a Superman comic book. They believe they can control everything. They can control everyone. They can make things the way they want them to be. And then they'll turn out exactly like they planned, right? That is a heavy burden to carry. All those things you plan in your mind, they never go like you think they're going to go, right? And to try to meticulously plan future events is so fruitless. And it stops the flow of energy and power into whatever is happening, because you already have a predetermined outcome in your mind. You would need to be Superman to be able, you would have to be a superhero to deal with that sort of power, right? That weight. The reality is we don't have the ability to control anything outside of ourselves. So as soon as you start trying to do that, you're scattering your forces, okay? You are weakening that inner power because you're spreading it all over the place like fertilizer, right? We can only control us and our actions. And luckily, that is where the magic is, because you are in complete control of yourself. Love, people are always looking for love on the outside, in the outer world. They're looking for confidence, something that will make them happy, something that will make them love, something that will make them confident. But those are all inner things. You don't go out into the outer world and find those. You have to grant them to yourself first, and then they come to you in the outer world. Okay? So you have to make peace with this idea that you can't control everything. If you're going on a picnic tomorrow and it's raining, don't curse the universe and God and source and everyone else and everything else, because your day is ruined. It's ridiculous. Those little things you can let go so easily, and you make peace with that. And the pressure switch that you're living under, you're in that pressure cooker, it starts to resolve, and you start to live a real life in reality, not this idea that you have to control everything. And we're even trying to twist people and things, and they have to be like we want them to be, right? So we twist everything around and we try to keep it that way. It's unbelievable. Think about the burden of doing that. Everything has to be the way you want it. So you try to twist things that you have no business trying to twist in the first place. Okay? So you have to forget about the impossibility of control and start taking the control of your own inner self. Next, what is another thing that makes people unhappy? This is a big one. Holding grudges. Is that you? If you see yourself in any of these, I want to know in the comments, and you let me know, okay? Because that's progress and that's power to do that, okay? If you see yourself, let us know, because the awareness, bringing the awareness to something, that is how you start to change it. That's the very first thing. But if you're a person that holds grudges, I have this quote, another quote by Mark Twain. It's a great one. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. From Mark Twain. Holding a grudge has the same logic as drinking poison and waiting for someone else to die. It makes no sense. You're only harming yourself. You're only killing yourself. You're only keeping yourself from a life of bliss because you're carrying all this negative energy. Let the bitterness go, and you're letting it go for your benefit, not for anyone else's. It's only for you. The person who criticized you is probably having a great time out there somewhere without giving you a second thought. But you are replaying it and reliving it and refeeling it over and over and over and over again. That's what we do when you do this to yourself in your mind. And you're wasting your life, sending that person death rays or something. You're trying to do all these things. Let it go. Okay? What's another thing that makes people unhappy? You believe that everyone should play by your rules. I see myself in this, okay? And I made such great, I wrote down so many things I wanted to talk about today. And this was one of them for sure, because you think everyone else needs to do what you think is the right thing to do, or you think is the thing that needs to be done. If you expect the world to be fair with you because you're fair, that's what a fool does, right? That's like expecting a lion not to eat you because you didn't eat them. The world does not live by your rule book. It didn't live by mine. It's never going to live by anyone's. This world has been here for billions of years. And to think that we have, we think it should all be about us is just ridiculous. The sooner you accept this, the happier you are going to be. I promise you, because no one else got your memo about the way things should be. They didn't get the memo on how that they should treat you. They never heard how to live their lives by your standards and your beliefs. And that's happening so much today. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care what you do, as long as you're not harming anyone else, as long as you're helping your fellow man. But everyone else wants to put their ideas and their beliefs on other people. Well, that's wrong. Okay. Trying to pass laws and to do things where you're using a religion, for instance, is just wrong. People really get angry, though, if they think somebody violates their deep-seated beliefs. But remember, again, it's their beliefs. You can't be mad at someone else for not thinking, feeling, being the same as you. That's why we're all connected, but we're all originals. We are connected by that universal consciousness. And we are all one, really, but we still have the magic. The human species has the magic of being an original. You can be a one of a kind. And as a matter of fact, we're all really that way, because no two people in the history of forever have ever had all the same experiences and the same strengths and the same weaknesses. So no two people can really compete. Think about that. Because it's never a fair fight. Somebody is always going to have more or less, or it doesn't work like that. So to worry about other people, competition never works. Creation. Now, you're a co-creator. You're co-creating your existence. When you accept that role, when you take on that mantle, that's when you get your real power. Okay? So simply take people as they are and appreciate this amazing world that we live in. We're on a marble hurtling through space, and we're upset because somebody doesn't, like the color of our dress. Somebody likes this movie that we don't like. It's just moronic. It makes no sense. Take people as they are. Appreciate all the colors of humanity out there, right? The ideas, the viewpoints, instead of getting baited into them and fighting, that sort of thing, where we're all plotted against each other, pitted against each other. Next, what's another thing people do? They compare themselves to others. See, this led perfectly into this, because it is true. If you say someone is ugly, it doesn't make you prettier, right? But it's the same logic here. Most people play this internal game of comparison. They scrutinize only one very small area of another person's life and see where they match up, right? So I could, let me see, I could take myself and I could put myself up against Tony Robbins, right? And I could say, wow, Tony Robbins has done this. And if you take one little sectioned, quartered off area of anyone, and of course, you pick a doctor, somebody who's been to schooling for all those years, and you're a high school graduate, When you try to, you're not going to be able to do neurosurgery like them, but they're not going to be able to ski like you or whatever. Okay. But we do that so much. We have this internal game that we play. It's only one small area of their life, but see, we take this comparison against ourselves. So maybe one person sings better than the other. Maybe another one, can horseback ride and one can't. Looking at only a small fraction of a whole person and ranking that against yourself is pointless. You're so much more than just this sliver of life that you've got under the microscope right now. This habit, if you break this, it's going to free you up so much, because all it does is create discontent. It creates pain. It creates anxiety in your life needlessly. There are so many things in life that cause us anxiety, whether they should or not, but there are definitely things that just have no business in your life. If you can't stop measuring things, take an inward comparison dive inside yourself. I always say it's you against you 2.0. It's you versus you yesterday. Are you better today than yesterday? Did you do something today you didn't do yesterday to bring you closer to your goals? That's who you should be comparing yourself to. Not, I don't care if the person's even in your business, whatever. Because as soon as you start looking at someone else and paying attention to what they're doing, your eyes are off the ball of your own game. Okay. What's another thing? You choose to be happy. Oh, this is a good one. You choose to be happy only when everything comes true. All your dreams come true. So you're delaying your happiness. You're delaying your gratification. We do this so much. Happiness is not determined from what's happening around you, but what's happening in you. So you could take one person and put them at, New Year's Eve in Times Square, the most crazy, amazing place, right? Who is depressed and unhappy. And that is not going to have anything to do with what's going on inside them. Most people depend on others to gain happiness. But the truth is, it's an inside game. It's always from the inside first. So who's going to be the happier person? Think about this. The person who says, I'll be happy when I make $100 million, or the one who believes I'll be happy with a good dinner tonight and time with my family, right? Having lofty goals are great. And I said before, you have to have an end game. You have to see yourself living the life that you want to live. You have to put yourself there. You have to feel it. The feeling is the magic of the whole thing. Okay. And having big goals, that is a necessity. But when you keep tying your happiness to that future success, in other words, I won't be happy until, that is when you lose, because you've connected happiness to a future event that's always ahead of you. It's always eluding you. You're never going to find joy in life now. You're never going to find joy in the life you're living today when you're always chasing after happiness in the future. So find things today that thrill you, that make you happy, that make you smile, that make you sad, whatever, that actually give you feelings in the moment. And then let tomorrow surprise you. For those people out there who like to plan everything. What other things that can make people unhappy? Are you a pessimist? Are you a glass half empty person? Now remember, you become what you focus on. You become who you spend time around. Where focus goes, energy grows, like the saying says. If you're a pessimistic person, you're going to notice everything bad in your life, everything negative you will see and you will talk about and you will tell everyone about, and you will make that grow in your life. Your perception is your reality. And if your perception is a good one, that's exciting. But if your perception is gloom and doom 24/7, you are manifesting that life for yourself. That perception is creating your reality, and it's destroying your life, and it's keeping you from really being happy. Instead, tomorrow, one day, take a day out of your life. One day, focus on the best in people. When you walk into the store, don't wait for the clerk to talk to you. Talk to the clerk first with a smile on your face. Look for those brighter moments in life. Look for the beauty, the blessings around you. Be grateful. I always talk about my gratitude journal, and part of my morning routine is always a page of gratitude. All the things I'm grateful for right now. When you do that, you get more to be grateful for. It's a magic feeling that you're generating. Okay? But you have to do something. There has to be action here. Just daydreaming about it. Your mind is the most powerful tool in the universe, literally. But you're using it, you're using about 4%, 5% of its capacity because we don't know any better. The more you focus on the sunshine, the less the shadows come into your perspective. When you're always looking for gloom and doom, that is what you're going to have. I guarantee it. What's another thing that makes people unhappy? They're lonely. This was the line from Mother Teresa. The most terrible poverty is loneliness and the feeling of being unloved. Now, we're naturally social creatures, born and bred usually that way, okay? And nurturing relationships, that should make up a huge part of our lives because it is. It's all about relationships. It's all about helping each other here. This idea that, again, we're all separate is just BS. If you find yourself alone and you find yourself depressed on a Saturday night, for instance, make an effort to change it. How do you do it? Easier said than done, right? Finding friendships will, I guarantee, first of all, improve your enthusiasm. And it's going to improve your enthusiasm for what each day holds. Because you know those people who, I have nothing to look forward to, right? Everything is the same. They're living the same existence. They hate it, but it's almost more comfortable to be miserable than it is to try to change. You got to be enthusiastic. You have to be ready for what change can bring into your life. Look at change as a good thing. How do you find good friends? Seek out social settings with people that share the interests you do, not in a bar somewhere. If you like to, play, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons, go to a gaming place where they do that. If you like to paint, go take an art class, whatever. But put yourself in the place where you want to be, where you want to blossom, okay? If you want to go to Paris, just sitting there thinking about it isn't going to do it. Get online. Start looking up prices of airfare. Start going on YouTube and watching videos of people walking around Paris and see the sights and feel it. Okay? It's so important. Smile, reach out, and be genuinely interested in other people. So many times we are only listening so we can respond. So we're not even listening to what they're saying. Actually, listen, take it in, feel it. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. That's how you make a real friend, by being one. We forget that part, right? It's a two-way street. You will be so surprised how far this will get you in building connections that can last a lifetime. Now, this next one was a big one for me, and this is a huge cause of unhappiness for so many people. It is, you seek materialism or money or things over everything else in life. Somebody just made this quote in one of my Facebook communities. Many people are so poor because the only thing they have is money. Well, money certainly is a great gain in life because it does give you freedom, the freedom to do what you want, when you want, not to be beholden to someone else who has your fate in their hands. But it doesn't bring happiness. You can shop in better places. You can go on better vacations. You can live in a better house. But it's not going to make you happy. And this is proof by so many famous people. Anthony Bourdain would be one who pops into the mind, who commit suicide. They look on the outside like they have it all. Kate Spade would be somebody else. So money is your key to freedom. It's the key to give your family a better life and give them a better education and be comfortable and be happy. It's freedom. It's a tool. Okay, but it's not going to make you happy. And that was a terrible lesson to learn. My whole life, when you think money, it's all I've ever wanted. And then when you get it, you realize this is a bunch of BS and it doesn't do anything. Man, that's a huge letdown when you think for, 20 years that this is everything that you want and then you get it and it's not. That is enough to put you in a, completely catatonic state. Catonic, is that right? Is that the right way you say that? Catonic? That's not right, is it? You know when somebody is catonic, it's not, how do you say that? No, when their mind is, when they're like, they can't. Catatonic. That's what I want. Yeah. So sorry, because I didn't think that was right when I said it. But money is great to have. It won't bring happiness. So I want you to do this. Think about tomorrow and think, what if tomorrow was the last day you had? That's it. Your last day alive, your last day to breathe this amazing air. What if it was the last? What would you want to do? Would you really care about going out and making more money? Would you turn instead to focusing on people that you care about and connecting with them, right? Or talking, having certain experiences with them. If you live by your values, you will find more fulfillment than materialism can ever bring you. You have to sit though with yourself in those quiet moments and figure out what your values are. Figure out what it is that you want. Figure out the goals, okay? And you don't just want, I want a mansion and a Ferrari and a, $20 million and all of that crap, because when you get it, if you do get a hold of it, you'll never keep it. And also it's not going to make you happy. Okay. So what else? What else do people do that makes them unhappy? They don't make time for the right things. When you stop chasing the wrong things, you ever heard this? You stop chasing the wrong things, you give the right things the chance to catch you. We all lose our focus sometimes. I mean, nowadays, 7 seconds is our attention span. I mean, this online world has taken over and has reduced. In the 80s, it was something like 2.7 minutes. Now it's 7 seconds. Okay. So we lose our focus. It's not our fault, but keeping our activities aligned with those values help you keep the right perspective. One good exercise is to list your values. I told you, try to figure out what your values are, but list them and rank them in their order of importance to you. Then you'll see how many of your daily activities align with that list. How many of the things you're doing every day align with their values? Now, after that, is there still a disconnect? Well, if there is, what can you do to change it? The best thing you can do to understand is to understand how to prioritize your life and do what matters most to you. Okay? Get rid of the people, the energy vampires that are draining you, that aren't doing you any good in your life. The people that tell you can't do it, that tell you your dreams are stupid. You don't have to, and if that voice is you inside your head, you don't have to listen to that either. But if it's somebody on the outside, it's even easier to get rid of. Okay? One thing you can do right away is you got to get rid of those unhappy people that are making you unhappy. Because another reason is you may have unhappy people in your life. You may come from a family where it's cultivated, where negativity and unhappiness is not the goal, but it's what everyone lives with, right? When you have to start compromising yourself and your morals for the people around you, it is time to change the people around you. You are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. So they say the 5 closest people to you, you are the sum total of those people. If your friends are, constant sources of negativity and lack and fear, whatever, it may be time to start looking outside of your friend group, outside of your family. Okay. You've got to take care of yourself first. And to do that, you have to put yourself around the right people. Okay. Another thing that people do, or another reason why they're unhappy, is because they haven't discovered their purpose. If this is you, let me know in the comments, because this is a big one. And I'm guessing this is going to be, I bet you 30% of the people would be people that just haven't discovered their purpose, because they're all trying to be someone else. They're all trying to be like someone else. And it's such a waste of the person that you are, the original person that you are. So many of us have subscribed to this lie that their life purpose is to make it to Friday and to Saturday and to hit the clubs and to go out and to get wasted and wake up hungover. And no matter how many miserable times that happens, they just do it over and over again. Monday morning, they feel like crap. It takes them till Wednesday to start feeling better. And then it's Friday again. It's a vicious circle. If you find your passion and you find your purpose, all of that disappears. I haven't had a drink for years. I haven't had a cigarette for years. And the desire to have them, I haven't had for years. Literally cold turkey on both of those things, because it's a huge waste. It's a huge hindrance to the life that I want to live, the life that, I am creating. I've been creating all these years, and it's not worth my peace, for one thing, and it's not worth losing mental control for another. So find your passion, find your purpose. What is the thing you would do for free if nobody paid you, but you're just so passionate about it? Take a look deep inside, because it may terrify you when you figure out what it is. It's just something you never thought you could do. But discovering that part of your story, that is one of life's biggest adventures, because so many people never find it. They never know their purpose. They never know their calling. They go through their life as a cog in the machine, which is all they want us to be. They don't want us to be original. They don't want us to be entrepreneurs. They want us to be cogs in a giant machine, an insurance salesman. They want us to be a lawyer. They want us to be a fast food worker, whatever. Those are all part of the machine. Next, another thing that makes people unhappy. You're more of an actor than an author. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest achievement. It's by Emerson. You do the world a huge disservice when you try to be someone you're not, and everyone does it. I mean, it happens to us the moment we get pushed into school, pushed into all those rows of desks, told to be alike, told not to stand out, right? That idea of conformity, that kills more dreams than anything. Conformity. Okay? Be authentic. Be you. Be the most you that you can be. That's the secret. The things that you're afraid of, expressing about yourself, those are your power. Playing a part you weren't meant to play, it's just horrible. Think about that. Think about a movie you saw once, and the actor, the main actor was just terribly miscast, right? I'm not going to name any. You can probably think of one yourself. That does a disservice not only to the actor, but to anyone watching the movie. And what it is, it's asking for heartache. It's just, you're pretty much sitting there wide open, asking for a heartache. Because when you try to push this down into the pit of your stomach, which we all do, it's the weirdest thing. When there's things we don't like in our life, we don't get rid of them like you'd think we do. We take them inside and we hold them in with willpower. All those things that we don't like, all those memories that we hate, they're not out there somewhere, and we certainly haven't worked through them. We just throw them in like a hoarder. We've got all this crap that makes no logical sense, but it's taking willpower to hold inside us. So even when you try to push it down, a part of you is always going to know that you're emotionally compromising yourself. Your happiness is never going to be where you deserve it to be, because you're reading lines that you didn't write. Or even worse than that, you're reading lines you didn't write that you don't believe in. You're living the idea of someone else's life. You're living because your father wanted you to be this, or because your wife wants you to be this, or your sister, your brother, your whoever. Okay? So you can make that change. You and only you. Everything I'm talking about tonight doesn't require a $10,000 course. It doesn't require Tony Robbins to come in here and have you walk on hot coals. It doesn't require anything outside of you. You're already holding inside you this amazing inner power. It's just, there's a stopper in the, it's just pushed in there. And that cork needs to burst free and let that energy run through you. So something else that makes people terribly unhappy, and I talked about it, I touched on it a little earlier, is you're stuck in the past. How many of you see this? You can't start the next chapter of your life rereading the last one. Now, that's a famous quote. Many people become products of their past. They are casualties of regret, of sorrow, of what ifs. I wish I could have done that, and then he wouldn't have done this, and all this hindsight 2020 vision that you didn't have at the time. Pointless. It's never going to change. You can't change it. So living in the past, that is the biggest, easiest thing you can knock off your list right away, because it's a completely, what do they say when you're, when you're trying to figure out how much, okay, is this worth 30% of my time? This is worth none of your time. Okay. This is absolutely no upside in this. Okay. If you're stuck in the past, let it go. You're becoming a product of that, right? If we can't, what we can learn from our past, if you go back in your mind to learn something, you need that information, that's fine. But living there, dwelling there, going through the same things over and over and over again, it's just not practical. It's definitely possible because people do it, but it's never going to lead you anywhere but sorrow. It's never going to lead you anywhere but heartache. You have to get into the present moment. This moment is your power position. This is your time to make change now. Because the past, when the past was happening, it was right now. When the future finally gets there, it will be now. There is no future, no past. They don't exist. Now exists. But we don't want now. We always want this moment that's coming, or the moment we're thinking about from the past. This is the moment where you can get in there and change it. Nobody wants this one. They always want the next one. It's not what you're doing in this moment, right? You're making a cup of coffee, but it's drinking the coffee. That's what you want. So this moment, you want to get past this moment. We're always trying to get ahead of this current moment. When you get in the now, you go out, you see the colors are amazing. The sky is the bluest you've ever seen. The trees look amazing. Everything smells fantastic. You miss all of these things in your day-to-day life when you're living inside your head, when you're living in the past. The past can't be changed. You can't relive the past. So to constantly dwell on it, you're never going to create the emotional future that you need to. And you're never going to have the right healthy outlook. What else? What's another thing that keeps people from being happy? You keep thinking about your future and you can't enjoy today. So this is the opposite of what we just talked about. What you do today determines who you're going to be tomorrow. Another famous saying. Some people focus so much on the stars that they miss the entire journey. They miss the sights, the experiences, the lessons learned in getting there. Find as much joy in the adventure as the journey as you can, because the end goal is fine. To know what it is and to visualize it is fine, but you can't go there and try to manipulate things and do it always in your mind. Get your end goal in mind, be able to visualize it as an anchor image, but then let it go, because this is always going to be frustrating to you. Until that future becomes a reality if you don't do it this way. Right? So why limit yourself when you can have so much more happiness in this moment, right? Stop this over incessant worrying that we do. You're a perfectionist. This is something that can make you unhappy. In order to go on living, one must try to escape the death involved in perfectionism. Another famous saying. Now, there are three main types of perfectionism. First, there's self-perfectionism, where you expect perfection from yourself. Titled correctly then, right? Self-perfectionism. Next, social perfectionism, where you believe others expect you to be perfect. Finally, other perfectionism. That's where you expect other people to be perfect. Now, all three of these things are happiness busters. All three of these things are going to throw water on your candle for sure. Being perfect is an unrealistic goal to place on yourself or anyone else. Constantly falling short of the unattainable, even if you're not doing it consciously, in your subconscious is going to mar you for years to come, because it's going to continuously keep you feeling sad. Another thing that a lot of people, another reason for unhappiness, is people are afraid of failure. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. That's from Winston Churchill. Some people are so afraid of making a mistake, they never try. Is this you? Because I'm telling you, it is so many people. Just imagine how that would have worked out when you were trying to learn how to walk. You'd still be crawling right now. Unfortunately, we lose our bravery as adults. As children, we are so brave. We are doing all these amazing things. We're outside running, jumping, all of this bravery. When we're sad, we cry. When we're happy, we laugh. We can be amazing. We can have amazing visualizations and imagination. And we're playing all these games and doing all these things. But as we become adults, we lose that. We lose that bravery. And we are afraid to try anything that we're afraid will not work or that will make us look stupid. And it's such an illogical thing. I mean, to learn the piano, you have to learn. You can't sit down and play, a concert, play Chopin the first time you sit at the piano, but you got to look stupid, or at least be willing to. If you embrace this mindset, this idea that, you can't make a mistake, and you are trying to do, you have to embrace the mindset, because you're never going to live up to your potential this way. This is going to create huge dissatisfaction in your life. To always be afraid of failing, to never want to try, you are setting yourself for more heartache there. This is an easy thing, because what you can do is, not all at once, one thing. Do one thing that's outside your comfort zone. Because when you succeed in that and you get that rush of energy, that life force energy, it's going to motivate you to do it again. But just try it for one time, and see what can happen. Another reason that people are unhappy is insecurity. Growth happens outside of our comfort zone. Just like I said, you got to go outside of there to get anything. You're living in a box created not even by yourself. You don't even know what's outside, because you're put in this box as we're younger with the ideas of parents and siblings and the media and teachers and everything else. So you don't even know what's outside that box. If you're too insecure to move on from what's familiar, you're never going to know the feeling of banishing your fears, of finding your wings, of realizing what your passion is and living it. A bird has to learn he can fly, and there's only one way to do it. You can't stay in the nest forever. You have to be ready to do it. And another thing, you have to be happy to see other people soar. You have to look at everyone else and be happy for them. Another reason you may be unhappy. You seek validation. Learn to love yourself first instead of loving the idea of other people loving you. I just did this post a couple of weeks ago in our Facebook community. If you keep looking for others to determine your worth, you're always going to be disappointed. No person except you should have the power to determine your value, your happiness. Okay? And if you're somebody who neglects personal relationships, think about this. Most deathbed confessions, they don't talk about spending more time chained to the office or making money. Like I said earlier, that's not what you're thinking about. Most people regret the relationships that were neglected in the pursuit of money and houses and cars. Don't neglect your friends. Don't neglect your family. Their love is more valuable than anything else. And it's one of those things that's free, but it's invaluable. The cars and the houses, the things that we hold we think have such perceived value, are really meaningless placed against love and confidence and all of the things that are available to us that are free. But we have a tendency not to like free things, or to look down on free things as a society. And there's so much knowledge out there available. Next, another thing that makes people unhappy. This used to be me, and still sometimes. Here's the thing. I'm not happy all the time. The other day I had a bad day, but doing things like this for you, this gets me in a good mood. It gets me talking about it. It gets me feeling it. But we're all suffering from unhappiness from time to time. I'll tell you, I have a bad day once every 3 weeks or something or whatever. It's ridiculous because before it used to be every single day. But now I can really see clearly in the mirror of my life and see all of the things I used to do. And one of the things that used to make me so unhappy was procrastination. Okay. And I was so bad because I don't even know why I was doing it some of the time. It's just an endless spiral, and all it does is make you frustrated. The more you do, the heavier the load is, the more that you need to do. It's like trying to run a marathon while picking up rocks along the way. Eventually the stress gets to you. It becomes too much. So it's so much easier to finish tasks, as you go along instead of trying to cram everything in at the end, right? You have to be able to maneuver through your day without dragging all this crap behind you, without having all of these constant worries. They are like rocks that you're dragging behind you. Other things that make people unhappy. You're bored. That's a good one. Many people go through life unchallenged. This leads to boredom. After all, in this world we live in now, technological convenience, safety regulations, ease of modern living, it takes all the adventure out for some people. Some people get stuck in a rut. They become dull when there's nothing to sharpen them up. There are many ways to find the wild in your life. You just have to make it a goal to do things that scare you. I told you, start with one thing. Wake up to the amazing life that's taking place, the amazing things that are available to you. There is another level of existence that you don't even realize is happening because you are living in this box. Are you getting enough sleep? This was something I wrote down today. I was doing a little research. One of the top reasons people are unhappy is the lack of sleep. People who suffer from insomnia have a more than 10-time chance of developing depression compared to people who sleep well. Sleep issues have also been linked to all sorts of physical things, health issues. So if you aren't sleeping well, you have to remedy this, okay? You have to go to bed a little earlier if you can't sleep in a little later. But you have to start taking that time for yourself. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed since doing constant meditation every day and doing all of my morning routines and doing all of the things that I do. I used to have the worst insomnia. I am sleeping within 10 minutes of hitting the bed, and I can almost always get up 5:30, 5 o'clock without an alarm clock. And it's just an amazing thing. But be able to go to sleep without all of that, looking at the phone and watching TV and then going back to sleep and then hours of that, and within 10 minutes to be able to sleep, it's an incredible thing. When you do that inner work, when you do some work on yourself, you're going to get these benefits. These aren't all things. You don't have to go, okay, I have to work now on my sleep and I have to do this and I have to do that. A lot of these things start to work themselves out when you start doing the inner work, when you start confronting the programming, when you start realizing what's going on in your mind, when you start understanding how negative the voice is inside your head, the bitchy roommate, as I love to call it. When you realize all of these things, you start to win because you're getting awareness, right? So sleep is a huge thing. Start now by just going to bed a little earlier if you're not getting enough sleep, okay? But by doing meditation and doing spiritual practices, whatever they may be, you will start to alleviate a lot of these things without having to do, too much work on them. What about this? This can go two ways to make someone unhappy. You don't spend enough time alone. Sometimes we don't take the time to separate ourselves from the noise of life. We don't take the time to just rejuvenate our mind, to focus inward. That's what meditation does. Every single day, twice a day, I'm doing that. It's okay to take time to be alone. It's okay to take time to be away if it relaxes you. whether it's having a coffee break on a park bench or, taking a walk in the woods, taking a backpacking trip through Alaska, whatever. However you spend your solitary moments, don't forget to take time to step away from all the craziness in this life and refocus. Your mental mojo is going to thank you. Another reason people are unhappy, they don't take time to make goals. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. The great Tony Robbins. That's a great quote. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. An aimless life is a source of disappointment and frustration. Instead of just letting things happen to you and trying to keep up with everything, create your own future by setting goals and following through on them. Intention is a magic power. Intention, like willpower, will change everything. One of the greatest joys in life is seeing a goal come to fruition. That's why even on, I don't know if you use a dream board, but I like to leave anything that I manifest. I like to leave on the board. I just move it to the other side because that gives you such motivation when you see all the things that you've been manifesting over the years, and you're able to look at it in a big picture. You're seeing the big picture. Okay. It's amazingly motivational. Now, another reason you may be unhappy, you may be dependent. The greatest gifts you can give your children are the roots of responsibility and the wings of independence. Famous quote by Watley, I believe. While it may be easier to depend on others, becoming independent is one of the hallmarks of adulthood. Those that cling to others with no plan to break free, they are struggling with self-esteem issues in almost every single case. It's hard to find your wings when you're weighed down by other people's agendas, other people's ideas, other people's dreams. One of the biggest reasons for unhappiness, and again, I was scribbling notes today. These aren't in any order because I think this should be probably near the top if these were in order of importance, because this is, you don't think you deserve to be happy. We all deserve it, or none of us does. That's the way it is. But man, we think it's only for some, not for us. Some people have the warped idea that they just don't deserve happiness. They have guilt about their past. They feel like they should be punished. Remember, your mind knows all the things you've done, all the things you've never got caught doing. So it's going to punish you over and over again. It's going to torture you. And when you start to feel happiness, you feel like you're not worthy of that emotion. Happiness is something everyone should experience. It's a God-given birthright. You're here, not here to suffer. You're not here to live some tragic life. You're here to overcome. You're here to connect to that inner power. Okay? Happiness is something that you deserve. It's not just for other people. If you don't think you are worthy of it, it's time for readjustment of your perspective, for sure. Give yourself permission to find your happy place. It's different for everybody. The happy place may be your grandmother's sofa. It may be under a palm tree on a beach. It may be, in your meditation room at home, whatever. But find your happy place and be able to visualize that. I talked a lot about the anchor image, and I use Santa Monica Pier, one of my favorite places in the world. That anchor image makes me so happy, that idea of that. So to be able to go to that in times when you're under stress and when you're feeling anxiety, to be able to conjure up the opposite positive feelings just by imagining an image in your mind, that's like real magic right there. Another thing that makes people unhappy is you feel like you're always just one step away. Greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. Another famous quote. If you are someone who's always one step away from being satisfied, that is killing your chance at being happy. If everything is just out of your reach, you're never going to experience the fun you have in every moment that's given to you. If there is always something you need to fill up your life, when will it end? It won't. Most people who think this way don't realize that they will never be able to satisfy this huge monster they have living inside them. They truly believe their own self lie. And that's what it is. It's a self lie that if they don't have this one last thing, happiness will not find them. Next, something else that makes people unhappy. They ignore opportunities. This is a quote by Jefferson. Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Sometimes when opportunity comes to knock on the door, people just decide to keep Netflix on, not answer the door. Or the opportunity looks too much like work or pushes them out of their comfort zone that they decide to pass on it. However, if this becomes a habit, you'll find yourself frustrated when you see times when you passed what you should have held on to with every fingernail. It's hard to be happy when you can't hold on to the good things that come your way. So my advice here to fix that is take the risk. Jump. You might be surprised how it changes your life for the better. Now, the other side of the coin here is that you're too complacent. Another reason people are unhappy, they're too complacent. It's very easy to become complacent. You can't leave this monster anytime you want. You have to be careful. You have to be vigilant. Okay? You have to start swimming towards a better future and leaving this monster behind you. There's joy found in the struggle. Nobody wants the struggle. You're never going to get that joy in the passive existence when everything is the same. You got to break out of that. If you hate your job, that obviously it could be something that's making you unhappy. You spend most of your life working. So if you're in a job that you hate, it's hard to have a happy outlook. The best way to change your life is to begin working for your passion, or at least working towards your passion, not just a paycheck. If you're chasing the wrong things, we get confused about what's really important to us. So again, take a deep dive, discover what you love, what it is that you want to, that makes you happy, that gives you that rush of life force energy. Just a few more. Something else that makes people unhappy is they're afraid of themselves. As strange as it sounds, many people are afraid of being themselves because they don't trust their own instincts. While no one is perfect, we talked about it. If you can't trust yourself, who else can you possibly trust? Learning to put faith in your decisions and your life course will create a much more satisfying journey than constantly doubting yourself. Now, this next one is one of the ones I talk about at least once a week. This cause of unhappiness, a lot of people suffer from, and that is the idea that you care way too much what everyone else thinks. Too many people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't know. Once people finally accept the reality that you can't please everyone, life gets easier. In fact, having a goal to try to please everyone is going to make you crazy. It's impossible. There's no reason to exist with other people's motives and thoughts whispering in your ear. So you got to break free of this people-pleasing cycle. You've got to learn to walk for yourself. You've got to learn to live your own life. You've got to learn to take risks. Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Many people don't push their life to the limits. If you're feeling unchallenged, if you're feeling unchanged, maybe it's time to start looking at your belief system, and maybe it's time to revisit some of the risks that you didn't take and push yourself a little farther. You may find yourself exploring uncharted territory where your friends kick back into the easy chair arms of the familiar, but you're going to be experiencing something different. The excitement of getting over your previous limits is motivation. It's rocket fuel. It motivates you and pushes you forward. Two more. One of the reasons people aren't happy, they never learn from their mistakes. You can't change what you refuse to confront. Have you ever noticed how some people never seem to learn? Even when the most horrible outcomes happen for them over and over, they continue with that same pattern of self-destruction. Now, it's really easy to stand back and look at this in other people's lives. It's much harder to recognize it in our own. If something goes wrong, as tempting as it may be to just block the memory, hold it inside like we do, it's far better to think through how the negative result occurred and how to avoid replicating it in the future. Our mistakes do serve a purpose, no matter how painful they are. We just need to learn from them and then let them go, not hold them inside for the rest of our lives and torture ourselves with them. I have two more and I don't know. I only want to do one. I'll do both. You don't love yourself enough. Big reason for unhappiness. It is impossible to find happiness if you don't love yourself enough to pursue it. Well, it can be hard to get out into the boxing ring. It's time to stop beating yourself up. And it's time to start to love the person that you see in the mirror. And finally, one of the biggest reasons for not loving yourself is you play the victim card. It's hard to be happy when the world is conspiring against you. People who take on the role of victim are never happy. This is because they don't have any control. They believe that their unhappiness has been caused by some external force outside of them, and it can only be taken away by that external factor. They live in the miserable land of if. If only this would happen. If. If you live your life as a victim, you also believe the lie that you have no power to change it. That is not a way to embrace a meaningful existence. You have all the power, like I've told you all night tonight. It is only you, right? Never give your power away to someone else. If you're not allowing yourself to be happy, people will say, I don't understand why it's so hard to be happy. Maybe it's because you refuse to let go of the things that make you sad. What are you holding on to that's making you unhappy? It's a fair question to ask yourself. Matter of fact, only you can answer this question. Sometimes we consciously choose unhappiness because we can't let go, or we unknowingly choose it because we haven't taken a good hard look at our lives. We haven't discovered what we need and who we need to cut out of our lives. The choice to be happy ultimately lies in your hands. Happiness doesn't have to be elusive. You don't have to chase it. Sometimes all you have to do is open the door to the thrilling possibilities ahead of you. Finally, are you doing any of these things that I talked about tonight? Are you doing any of them unconsciously? Some of these things may have become our habits, which are going to be hard to break, but not impossible when you know what you're doing. Remind yourself that life really is short, and you're letting these things hold you back from living the life that you want to live. So from now on, pick one thing. I said it earlier, pick one thing that you want to change. Start small. Change one habit at a time. Slowly, your mindset will start to change. Every problem I've ever had in life, I don't care if it's cancer, if it's a financial problem, it's alcohol, what it is, it's a mindset issue. Mindset is keeping you from the things that you want in life, not just monetary things, happiness, relationships, whatever it is, it's your mental blocks. It's your programming that needs to be broken. So I want you to tell me, as you're watching this as a replay, what is your biggest cause of unhappiness? Now that you've watched this and you've listened to this and you've maybe saw yourself in some of these, what is your biggest cause of unhappiness? What's the reason that you've been so unhappy lately? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you think about what we talked about tonight, why you do see yourself there, why you don't see yourself there, who you see there. Whatever it is, I want you to take some time to contemplate how this fits into your life, because when you do, everything will start to change. Now, if you haven't joined our Facebook community, it is an amazing group of like-minded people. This is what we do each and every day. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people in there. And out of every 6 that apply, we accept 1 or 2. That is no BS, because we want people in this group. There's nothing to buy. It is absolutely free. But we want people who are not only intent on transforming their lives, but that are willing to help other people as well. Because we all need that cheerleader. We all need that, to work in tandem sometimes. We need that accountability partner. This group is great for that. Each and every day I am in there with fantastic knowledge, free, 30 years all over the world teaching people about the mind. I'm giving you this knowledge for free. If you'd like to join, go to brentsgroup.com, no apostrophe in the before the S there. It's brentsgroup.com, all one word. You can get your free group invite. You can come in, take a look around. You will see what is happening there each and every day. Fantastic transformations. The amount of people that write and message us, it's incredible. So if you'd like to join, it's brentsgroup.com. Now, if you've watched me before and maybe you haven't taken the plunge, I'm giving away the last few copies of my book, 5 Steps to the Perfect Mindset. If you don't know where to start, this seems so overwhelming for you, these are the 5 things you need to do right now, no matter where you are on your journey, to start taking control of your mind. Okay, 5 steps to the perfect mindset. Get your copy absolutely free right now, brentsfreebook.com. Again, no apostrophe, it's brentsfreebook.com. That's all I got for you today. I want you to remember we're back here each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have some cruises coming up end of November into December. So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for those. I may do 1 or 2 live. Maybe I'll tape one for you guys, but I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to take you along. I'm going to record some videos for you as we go around the world a little bit. Just remember, no matter where you're watching this from tonight, you have everything that you need already inside you. There's nothing else to buy. There's no one else to hire. You have the power, and only you can unlock that. It is completely ready to be unleashed, to transform your life. The only way you're going to do it is by getting that inner power and bringing it out to make that transformation, okay? So don't worry, be happy, and feel good. I'll see you back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good week.